Because so often what we do is we start with the combat and we start with the arguments and we start with the differences that we have. We don't start with the commonalities and the love that we have together. And that is something that you have been showing people for a very long time.
Welcome to the Akashic Recordings. My name is Annette DeLu. I'm an Akashic conduit, channel, and spiritual guidance coach. What you will be hearing today is a real session with one of my clients. All the names have been changed for privacy, and of course, with their permission, we are privileged to hear these beautiful stories to allow us a small glimpse into the Akashic Records. If you would like to book a session with me and be part of the podcast, please feel free to head to my website at infinitesoullove.com. When you book your session, just make sure to check the box that you would be interested in having your session utilized for the podcast. For those of you who really wanted to sign up for Soul Discovery Workshop, I have great news for you. You can head to my website, and on the homepage, if you go to the little box that describes Soul Discovery Workshop, there is a button there that says sign up for the wait list. So if you want to be in the know and want to be the very first one to sign up for the next session of Soul Discovery Workshop online, feel free to head to my website at infinitesoullove.com. Go to that homepage, click sign up for the wait list, and send your email, phone number, as well as your first and last name. And I will make sure you get that registration email as soon as the next course is ready to launch. In addition, you will get a discount code for the early bird sign up. So if you are interested, head over there now. This week's session with Erin is really important for a couple of reasons. The first reason is we discuss anger. Anger is such an important emotion because it tells us quite a bit. And oftentimes people don't know how to express anger. They don't know what to do with it. Sometimes we stuff it down. So we're gonna go very deeply into how you can work with your anger, how you can channel it, talk to it, figure out why it's there, and then how to, in a healthy way, express it. Another reason why I feel like this session is important is because Erin brings up at one point the role she played with her parents. And it really tied in with her sole purpose, which is to help people find the common ground within their connection, as opposed to starting with where you differ, building the foundation on what you have in common. So tell me, what would you like to cover today?
Well, I'm interested in connecting with guides around life purpose, and I've had a really actually great experience with my relationship with my dad since he died in 2017. And I feel him around me a lot, and his guidance and our similarities and all kinds of neat things. I guess I want some confirmation about that and insight about that. Yeah. And then I have some more acute, right now things going on. I'm kind of struggling a little bit with letting go of resentment and anger, and I don't even feel like it's mine or where I don't understand it.
Quick question regarding the anger and resentment. Do you know how long that's been going on? Can you identify a starting point to that?
It's felt very strong within the last, I'd say 3 or 4 months, maybe. But I've had issues with my kidneys and bladder infections and stuff like this before. And I've kind of gone into what is this caused by? And it's taken me into okay, it's anger and stored resentment or not letting go of things, being pissed off. And that has made me go, whenever I've read that in the past, I'm I don't understand that. But then I'm opening to my patterns of maybe protecting myself. I want to have deeper connections and better intimacy with friends and my husband and so forth. I'm blocking that, or I can't really receive it or live into it in some ways lately. It's just been coming to a head. I even visited some friends who I love. I visited them recently, and I found myself so much catty, but just in opposition, or I don't know, in these little word soups where I couldn't get out of being insulting, and then to even recognize the insult and why and where it's coming from and what was that and whose is that, and it's almost like, "Ooh, whose is that?" And I didn't take responsibility for it in the moment, and
Mhm.
I ended up like going back and apologizing and feeling this like hangover of regret.
Mm,
Where is that?
yeah,
I need to get this under control.
sure.
Familiar to some degree because my dad had a lot of I could see his anger growing up and dealt with his anger. And I've thought I've healed a lot and grown a lot and whatever, but then it just kind of comes out. That's another way he's with me, is like I can see myself in his sort of faux pas when he was on the planet. He actually kind of came to me in a memory. And I don't know that it was a real memory and not just something he planted, but like when I was a kid, my parents argued a lot. My mom and I would kind of go off into the bedroom and take a bath or play dress up and just kind of had our own little wonderland back there.
Yeah.
And often it was just in a retreat of his sour attitude or whatever. I can remember in this memory that I don't actually remember happening, but it's very real. I was wanting ice cream. That was something that he and I would go, like, we'd eat ice cream at night and watch Johnny Carson and whatever. And I had run across the opening to hide behind a chair, trying to make my way to the kitchen. And he saw me, of course. And I kind of peeked out from behind the chair and he was over there making a face at me. And the awareness of like, okay, anger doesn't have to be there all the time. Like you can let go of anger. It's fine to be angry, but let it pass. Don't hold it.
Right.
That was what I got out of that. And that wasn't necessarily something he mimicked in life, but that was my awareness. Since then, it's like, okay, get a hold of yourself.
When you were speaking to your friends, did it feel in retrospect that you were attacking them specifically?
Like in one instance, I was making fun of the way a friend drove. And really, it was like the night before, she had just kind of drove like a little sporadic in a downtown setting and like not slammed on her brakes, but came close to a car in front of us and then whipped over in another lane. Like it was just actually maybe a little out of her norm. But her partner had reacted. And then I don't think I reacted in the moment, but the next day we were driving and her partner, who's a little high strung, and would tease her. And sometimes I would get in the middle of their like, yeah, da, da, da. And so I found myself kind of doing that, but then going like too far. Like I was sitting there thinking, but she's not a bad driver. Like reconcile this.
Mm-hmm.
Like say what you mean, get it out. Like you're not. And then I kept talking and it'd make it worse. Yeah.
How does she respond to those criticisms from her partner?
Super laid back and kind of like, no, I'm not. It's okay. I've got it. It's under control. She wasn't like super defensive. It was almost like she's so laid back. It was a very laid back response. Something that helped me sort of come to this awareness too is like I had brought my dog with me and we stayed for 3 or 4 days. And my dog is awesome. Like she's social, she's not aggressive. She got aggressive in these ways that were so out of character.
Mm.
And I realized, like, on the way home, maybe like we were both physically aggressive. I know I caused that in my dog. What is going on with me that is what's coming up?
Right, right. All right, cool. Well, we'll take a look at where that could be coming from. I have a little inkling as to where that might be coming from, but I definitely want to confirm in the records. So
Okay.
we'll dive into that and take a look, okay? What I'm seeing in your sacral chakra is usually supposed to be like an orange, and I'm seeing it like almost like a rust color. It's murky, like it's like a paste as opposed to like a beautiful free flowing light. That's telling me it's from this current lifetime. So it's something we'll address in this lifetime. Yeah. I'm hearing that it does have to do with your divine feminine. Okay. Your solar plexus looks good. It's oscillating between being really beautiful, bright yellow, and it's functioning beautifully, but it's also oscillating between that and like over stimulating that chakra. And the overstimulation of that chakra is having to do with, I'm hearing like an overcompensation. Oftentimes, when we are trying to stand in our own power, it feels a little bit odd if we're not used to doing it. And especially with drawing boundaries, especially with stating what we really want and what we really need. So it's almost as if you are stating what you need, drawing your boundaries, but then apologizing for them. It's something that you'll just have to work on. It's not anything that is a block or anything, but it's like it'll happen with time. The more you stand up in your power, the more you will be able to be unapologetic about asking for what you need and asking for what you want. Okay, so then let's move that energy up to your heart space. I'm hearing the words, I love so deeply. And I'm hearing you say, like, not only do you love so deeply, but then, like, where is all this anger and frustration coming from? It does feel like it might not even be yours because it doesn't feel in alignment with where your heart is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take a look at where that's coming from. Is this potentially from a past life? It is not. Okay. I'm seeing that your crown chakra is very open. You're getting the messages that you need to get. And then sometimes the messages are getting stuck in your brain. Typically, when the messages come in, like they come in through your intuition and maybe they get interpreted through your third eye. But for you at this moment, it's like you're second guessing. And actually, you start to lose the message because you're second guessing, and then you lose the message because you're getting caught up in your brain as opposed to connecting to your intuition.
Yeah. I feel like I have a lot of starts and stops. Can't get out of my head, maybe to get things into execution.
The one bit of advice I can give regarding that is sometimes when we get intuitions, we don't need to do anything with them just yet. Because basically, what I've realized is that our guides in our higher self and the universe will give us the information that we need at the time that we need it. And so, if there just happens to be like a piece of information that your guides are giving you, but you don't understand it just yet, it's okay. You don't have to worry about figuring it out. Like it'll unfold the way that it needs to.
Okay.
What we have a tendency to do is we get a bit of information and then we sit there and think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it. And we're like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with this information? Okay, what is this about? What do I need to do? Where is this coming from? You know, all of these things. And so if you can just get the information and then just essentially say, okay, cool, I have that information, maybe even write it down and just let it go for now. And then you can even say to your guides, like, hey, can you please give me the next piece of information?
Okay.
And your guides might say, it's not time yet for you to have that next piece of information. Then you can say, okay, well, just let me know when it's time.
Okay. I think that's where I also have like a fear I'm going to lose my message. In like moments of like that awareness about letting go of anger, it was very profound. And then yet I go on and act like an angry person or whatever. I guess that's the human experience, but I have this insecurity that I can't hold it or keep it in my heart, all my ahas almost.
Well, just because we are aligned, beautiful, intuitive, ascended beings doesn't mean we don't get angry. Right? Because of the human in ourselves, like we do have the ability to experience and express the entire gamut of emotions. The difference is how we handle it. The difference is what we do with that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
For example, with your friend, you decided to go back later and apologize and say, look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That's being aware. That's being the beautiful, conscientious being that you are. Okay. There are always going to be times when we lose our tempers, when we get frustrated, when we have arguments with people. It happens. And to expect yourself not to have those moments is actually really unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically what that means is that we're expecting ourselves to be perfect, and we don't have to be perfect. That's not why we're here. We're here to learn. We're here to have experiences. And if having those experiences mean that we have to trigger somebody or somebody needs to trigger us, then that's what happens.
Yeah.
And then we see how we respond. So the best way to look at that type of situation is to say, am I responding better now than I would have, let's say, a year ago? Am I responding in a way that is more aligned with who I am now? Or am I not? Or am I falling into old patterns? Because that's okay too. That happens to all of us as well. The difference has to do with how we look at things, how we respond to things, even if it's after the moment has passed. Yeah, your third eye is really beautifully open. I'm hearing your third eye say, use me more often. And you can do that by going into meditation, by connecting with your ancestors on the other side. Yeah. Okay. So I'm seeing a dark blue light coming out of your throat chakra. So that's about communication. Does this have to do with a past life? It does. Okay. So we'll take a look at that past life and see where that's coming from. I want to thank Akula, my Akashic guide. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for being here as well and allowing us access to the Akashic Records. Today we are opening up the Akashic Records. Okay, so of all of the things that we need to cover, where do we need to go first? They want to go to your life purpose because it's going to help give us context for the rest of the things we're going to talk about.
Excellent.
Okay, so how many lifetimes do we need to look at for her life purpose? Just one. Okay. So is this her as a soul? It is. Okay. I'm seeing you as a child. They're saying that this is not your actual human being doing this in this previous lifetime. It's your soul. And I'm seeing you draw a circle in the sand. And sorry, it's not a circle, it's a spiral. And so it starts very small and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're drawing this big, huge spiral in the sand. They're sacred symbols. They're protection symbols. Okay. Where is she in this lifetime as a child? Is she at home? I don't see anything around her. So can you please elaborate on the scene, please? Oh, okay. You're bringing the earth grids into harmony with sacred geometry and with symbols. You're also creating protections around your home. And you couldn't be more than 3 years old that I'm seeing you right now. And it's like your soul is doing this without your human really realizing that this is happening. I'm seeing the scene kind of come back into focus. And it's like you're sitting on the floor of a home and you're just playing. And as you're playing, you are drawing these symbols with your finger, almost absent-mindedly, like you don't know why you're doing it, but you're just doing it. But then your soul is actually doing the work of drawing these symbols in the ground, in the air. It's almost like you take these symbols and these symbols create alignment in the space that you're in. Almost like if there were disjointed molecules or fractured energy. By drawing these symbols, by creating these symbols, you bring that energy back into balance. Okay. This is something that you have always done in every single lifetime. And it's the reason why you have a tendency to feel very safe and protected at home.
Mm-hmm.
You feel very comfortable at home. And this is because, like, whenever you move into a home or whenever you get into a home, you and your soul, you do these types of protections and energy adjustments with the sacred geometry and with the sacred symbols. And I'm seeing that they stay, like those symbols stay with your energy and they stay in the place for a very long time. And they're saying to me that sometimes it can be hard for the human version of yourself when you go to other places where you haven't placed these symbols yet, because you start to feel the disjointed energy. You start to feel the fractured energy. Things just feel off and they feel like they don't fit together. And you can feel that in your physical body whenever you're in a place that this is happening. And they're saying it's an agitation. Okay, so then why wouldn't her soul just create those symbols wherever she would go? Because it's not necessarily her job to create those symbols wherever she goes. Those symbols and the creation of the harmonious energy is for her and her alone. She's not doing this for other people, for other places. She's doing this so she can function as a soul and as a human being in her own space. Her energy, her soul is very, very sensitive to disjointed energies. As she was discussing earlier about her friend, she was being slightly influenced by her friend's partner. And so it's almost like you become a magnet for other energies that are around you. And if you happen to be around other energies that are combative, then you will step into that combative energy. What's interesting, though, is that it's not necessarily a bad thing in the sense that if your friend was getting that experience with her partner, there's a reason why we have those experiences. Is it because she needs to stand up for herself to her partner and say, hey, look, I really need you to not criticize me while I'm driving. Like, if you want to drive, go ahead. But if I'm going to drive, you need to not criticize. If that's the boundary that she needs to put up, then essentially, like, you stepping in and saying that to her and sort of joining his side, so to speak, was actually giving her more of the experience that she needed in order to stand up for herself. Whether she does or not, that is her decision. But you were able to absorb that energy that her partner is in.
Yeah.
So, have you found that this is the case for you in most situations where you have a tendency to be incredibly empathic and you absorb the energy that is around you?
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. In that respect, this is just a small portion of your soul's purpose of what your soul does. This is just part of what you do to help yourself adjust on this planet. They wanted to show us that first. It does feed into your life purpose to an extent, but they were showing that to us just so you can get an idea of why these things happen and how you can start protecting yourself from these energies so you don't end up emulating these energies that you're surrounded by. And I'm seeing you like wear protective symbols. For example, if you got like a pendant or a necklace of some sort that has sacred geometry,
Hmm.
if you have like, there are a lot of Reiki protective symbols that you can look up that are really they're very helpful for protection of energy. Putting up your bubble of protection around you, that's going to be super helpful.
Okay.
We're going to dive a little bit further into that a little bit later about different ways that you can protect yourself from that energy. But I want to proceed with the life purpose. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. And that makes a whole lot of sense. Okay. So I'm seeing you in this lifetime as a little girl. You might be a little bit older now. You're probably 5. And it's almost as if your parents have been arguing for a while. And you're trying to show them the love they have in their hearts for each other. So I'm seeing you grab your mom's hand and I'm seeing you grab your father's hand, and you're bringing their hands together and you're basically showing them the love that they have for each other. And that's part of what your life purpose is in this lifetime as well, which is showing people where they can express the love in their heart, show them the places in which they have overlap in commonality, where they can have harmonious connections, where they can have harmonious relationships. So often we see people in that combative nature saying like, well, I can't deal with this person because they do this, or I don't like this person because they are this person or they act this way. Your job has been for the last several lifetimes to say, yes, you may feel that way, but have you considered the love that you both have for, let's say, this person? Let's say it's a brother and a sister. So, okay, maybe they both love their parents very much, but they struggle with each other. Okay, so focus on the common things that you have together. The fact that you both love your parents, start there. Start with that and then move into other things. Because so often what we do is we start with the combat and we start with the arguments and we start with the differences that we have.
Hmm.
We don't start with the commonalities and the love that we have together. And that is something that you have been showing people for a very long time. So in this lifetime, I'm seeing you connect your parents, and then I'm seeing you connect your brother to your parents as well, because your brother was having some issues with your father. And what was interesting is that it wasn't working. Like your brother was being very, very stubborn. He was your older brother by about 2 years. And he was very angry at your father for something that he did. It was some sort of disciplinary action that happened. Like he had done something wrong, and so your father was punishing him for it. And so your brother was very angry. And I'm hearing that you were just the wise little one. Like even though you were so young, you were still the wise one, like giving people advice and talking to them, helping your brother see that your father was just trying to be a good dad. But your brother was just not having it. He was like, nope, can't do it. And up until this point, whenever you've shown people the love that they could connect to together, it's always worked. And then at this point with your brother, it wasn't working and you couldn't understand why it wasn't working. I don't know why, but it's really funny because they're just showing your soul to me in this lifetime. And they're saying that this lifetime that we're looking at was it like 3 lifetimes ago. And they're saying to me that like you had this very like rosy look about the world. And I mean, granted, you were still very, very young, but like, you know, it was almost like you were seeing everything like unicorns and rainbows and like everything was love and beauty and light. And here comes your brother and he's just like, no, this sucks. I hate this. Like, I don't like my father. I don't want to have anything to do with him. And you're like, but why? Like, he loves you. You love him. Like, why are you being so combative about this? Well, that's interesting. Okay. This is where you start to understand and learn about how to integrate multiple emotions, multiple feelings into one scenario. You started to learn about how you can still love somebody, but still be angry at them. How you could still love and still have frustration or want to be away from the person or want to not have that person in your life and even still have love in your heart for them. And your brother in this particular lifetime was showing you this. He was teaching you this. This was sort of the next step in your evolution of your soul and what you were meant to learn and to experience. So this was the challenge that you had to get through in this previous lifetime, is helping yourself to understand that even with all the protections in the world, even with all the symbols, even with you connecting their hearts and helping them understand the beauty that they have between them, that there can still be anger at the same time. There can still be frustration and a need to take a step back from the person. The last several lifetimes have been an integration of this for you. So you have, over the course of time, been really trying to comprehend, understand, navigate through the vast emotions that a human can feel while still being anchored in love. And although this sounds like a very simple thing to do, it is a very complex thing for most humans to do. And you're here to help and teach and show how you can anchor love in everything you do, even while having things in your energy field like fear or anger or resentment. If you can imagine, most people have in their root chakra, and this is why your root chakra looks so beautiful. Most people have in their root chakra the pain, the anger, the resentment, the fear, which that's your base. That's where you start from. And if you are starting from a place of fear, anger, pain, resentment, that basically leads you in everything that you do. Whereas if that's flipped and you're leading from a place of love, which is where you are, and then the anger and fear, resentment, pain, all of that comes on top of that, it is easily removed. It is easily moved through because it is not the base of how you are operating. Does that make sense?
It does. I feel like I've had a lot of awakenings or just realizations recently about loving people despite the fact that I maybe can't stand their opinions.
Sure.
Or that there's a division of some sort between us. Being present in the love and letting that be like, okay, well, that's enough, and we're the same, and all the confusion about differences isn't real.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're here to anchor in. And that's what you've been teaching people, whether you realize it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the really beautiful thing about the gift that you have, is that the things that you do are just sort of natural to you. They're natural to who you are and what you do on a daily basis. And so it's not like this is something you really have to try to do, or that you have to say, okay, I got to go take some classes and go learn how to do this. That's not how it is. It's very much about just who you are and what your soul is here to do and the soul signature that you have.
Okay.
I'm going to ask if there's anything that you need to work on in terms of this, in terms of being able to fully embody this as your human self. So hold on, let me see if there's any information about that.
Okay.
So they are saying, like we were saying earlier, the protection symbols, so wearing those.
Okay.
And they're saying whatever symbols you're drawn to. You can also visualize in your mind's eye when you do your bubble of protection, let's say in the morning before you leave the house. You can imagine that beautiful divine bubble of protection coming from the center of your heart space and expanding out in every single direction, going like 6 feet in every direction around your entire body. And then you can envision sacred geometry or protection symbols around that bubble as well. So let's say in front of you, you have a Metatron's cube. Let's say behind you, you have a flower of life. Let's say there are any number of symbols that you can use that you can sort of place around that bubble. And that's going to help you. That's almost going to be like what you've created in your house. It's going to create like this portable version of what you've already created in your house.
Okay. Yeah. I'm very much connected to my house.
Yeah.
Very connected to my house.
It feels safe there. It feels warm and happy and comfortable.
Yeah. I just got into sacred geometry, so this is interesting.
Oh, that's very cool.
I know.
Yeah, it all comes at the exact right time.
Yeah, love that. I still like to get excited about it.
Yeah. If you haven't worked with crystal grids, you can also create crystal grids for certain situations if you want to.
Okay.
So if, let's say, you have a particular situation in your life that is not harmonious at this moment, you can create a crystal grid with the sacred geometry and set your intention to make the situation harmonious, that it'll come to a resolution that is harmonious.
Okay.
Okay, so then I'm feeling guided to take a look at that anger piece. Before we go into that, do you have any other questions about your life purpose in this lifetime?
I guess one of my big questions is around my career and, how much of my life purpose is involved with me making money and the connection. I realize that it doesn't have to necessarily be like my job technically here in this life, but I feel like a little bit, I don't know if lost is the word. I'm in like a rut with work, and it's like, is this the right thing? There's not a lot of life in my business right now. I have some work. It's almost like it's afforded me a lot of time to do some other things, but at the same time, like, I want to make money.
Yeah.
And I love being into my career and being, pumped up about what I'm creating and getting paid for. And I just haven't felt that zest. Anyway, I've changed careers and I don't want to just jump from thing to thing to thing.
So, what are you doing currently?
So currently I do graphic design primarily. I have like one client. I'm trying to help them with a job posting and what would be best. So it's not at all like that's not graphic design work. That's something completely different. But marketing and writing, promotional things. I like the creative work. I like visual, coming up with graphics and such. But like I feel like I'm in need of a shift in terms of something like marketing for small businesses. It has like a shelf life for me right now. It's like,
Sure.
what are we doing this for? Are you selling stuff so that this crap goes into the landfill? Like, what is your business? A place people want to get up and go to work at every day? Or,
Right.
I'm concerned with things like that, but I'm not invited to speak on things like that all the time.
Right. If you could do one thing,
Oh, Lord.
what would it be? Here's the thing, take money out of the equation, take everything out of the equation except for just something that would make you feel really excited to wake up in the morning, something that you would feel really aligned with. What would you do?
It would probably be something with plant or cooking and cooking those plants.
In the sort of spiritual realm of like making tinctures and things like that? Or are you talking about like actual cooking?
Yeah, like actual cooking. I'm not into making tinctures yet, but like I've had this vision for a greenhouse, which our growing season in the South is, nice and long, but just for starting seeds and kind of being more like, up in my gardener game. And that desire has left me like, well, could I potentially feed my neighborhood someday?
Yeah.
Could I have enough potatoes or the staples, and I'm not necessarily good at growing now, but could those be something that I could support the neighborhood with? I'm kind of in the country. I don't know, I can buy eggs down the road one way and milk and all kinds of things from a farm or two around me. And I have felt like that project is one of those things that's like divine inspiration, and also, it's not time. And maybe it's not time, or maybe it's me with a fear to walk into it. And maybe it's not necessarily like a career purpose, but it's just another way of helping balance or support a different balance. Like I feel like I have a purpose too of like bridging old and new. And I mean, even my birthday is 1981. Am I a millennial or a Gen Xer? And I also very much feel like I come from all kinds of time, like sayings and the history of little trinkets and art, whatever, you name it. It inspires me, and I feel like I'm a keeper of it a little bit. I just have an appreciation for old things and new. And so anyway.
My question to you would be, can you see the correlation in what we were looking at in your life purpose and what you would love to do?
What just comes up for me is that, like, if what I want to do is more gardening or whatever, it's appropriate that I would be planting hope. I mean, hope is kind of the backbone of any gardener's garden. We hope this seed takes.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep nurturing that.
Yeah. And not only that, but you would also be nurturing community.
Yeah.
Nurturing community, nurturing relationships between people, bringing people together physically. I could see you doing this in so many different ways, but one thing I could see you doing is creating a template for this, which is, starting with your garden, but then maybe moving it into a community garden,
Mhm.
maybe moving it into something where people are able to come together and do this together. It's something that you could actually create, let's say, a YouTube channel for,
Mhm.
and you teach other people how to create this community and how to bring people together with commonality and not from their differences, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not like you have to sit in front of a bunch of people and teach them how to transcend duality, but just by the very nature of what you are wanting to do and what you are passionate about, it allows you the ability to show people what it's like to bring together all of the commonalities and come together as a community.
Yeah. The other thing that's been big for me in this is that less time sitting behind a desk working on arbitrary designs means I'm moving and I'm healthier than I've ever been, which is a big deal for me because I was like diagnosed with lupus at one point in my life, and there's no trace of lupus left in me. I mean, that's
Beautiful.
yes, it's wonderful. I feel like that healing has come from not just like what I physically intake, but just the words and the thoughts I dwell on. But a break from money making and consuming to do the things that, like, I think about busy women all the time, and there's no time to go exercise or take a walk and look at the colors or feel the breeze or whatever. And
Right.
it's like, I have to do this. And it's all diligently like a must on the to do. We got to check it off. Cleaning up after yourself is a pain in the ass. Let's just order takeout.
Yeah.
I don't say that in judgment. It's just like, well, how could anybody get out of this? When I'm busy and I'm stuck at my desk, I can feel my whole self be kind of shrouded in like a veil where I can't see the color vividly and I can't see life is good. I mean, it's like
Right. Right.
you can't be that tethered to your email and feel the fullness of what else and really appreciate the earth that we live on and the correlation between the damage in the earth and the damage of humanity and or the state of humanity, the lack of health is like, it's not lost on me. So anyway, I have a lot of insight and inspiration around that. And yeah, I just wondered what, if anything, was coming up from the guides.
So, what could you do right now if you were to be able to take one step towards that vision of what you want with the garden? What could you do right now?
What comes up for me is continuing. I've been kind of reorganizing our garage and getting it to a state where we can drag lumber in and out and cut it, and also host plants that are too cold to be outside, make them warmer, make that a little bit better, more friendly place for plants, but also make that hub more organized. Yeah, that's probably like my knee jerk response to what I could do now.
I want you to take one step towards this goal, whatever the goal is, even if you don't even know what the goal is. But I want you to ask your guides every morning, like, what is the one thing I can do to step towards more of what I'm aligned to do? And maybe that day it might be just, like you said, preparing the garage. Maybe the next day it is taking some plants inside. Maybe the next day is going and getting some new plants. But whatever it is, take those next steps.
Okay.
And if you feel guided to, let's say, like start a little video vlog about it, do it.
Mhm.
It's not to say that you have to like post it on anything right now.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you want to talk about it and you want to just sort of get it out there into some form of a format, you could do that. That's where you will be supported always. When you are doing something that you feel is divinely guided, that is aligned, that is something that will always end up bringing you money regardless. It's a matter of taking the steps in that direction. It's a matter of making that transition. Now, with the graphic design that you're currently doing right now, it is supporting you, but it is supporting you only in the bare minimum sense. And it's been doing that for a while because it's been urging you to start doing something else.
Mhm.
It's not completely going away yet, and it will eventually completely go away. But when it does go away, you're going to be ready.
Okay.
It's a matter of, okay, well, continuing to do the graphic design work for now while you focus on this other passion, this other thing that you don't really know what it's going to be yet. And that's okay. Just take the steps toward whatever it is, and it will start to unfold for you. You will start to see the next steps.
Okay.
How does that feel for you when you think about doing that?
It feels easy is the word that comes to mind. Easy, just what I'm doing, but with less doubt and more confidence and more like maybe some permission to go ahead and let that fire back in a little bit. Like, yeah.
That's beautiful. So the one thing that is challenging sometimes with those transitions is that sometimes we want to run headlong into the new energy and want to leave the old energy behind because, we don't want to do it anymore. And you can do that. It's not to say that you can't, but it can be a bit of a rougher transition if we do that. So take your time, allow yourself the time to develop what this is going to be, and start talking to people about it. Start telling people what you're doing. And you're going to be surprised at how many people are going to step up and start saying, oh, hey, I would love to help, or whatever you want to do. Like, tell me what you're going to be doing. I'd like to be involved. You'd be surprised at how much of that you're going to get.
Okay.
And just pay attention to how you feel throughout the process. If something does not feel aligned for you, don't do it.
Okay.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to be aligned for you. It may be just a timing issue.
Okay.
The problem that a lot of people have is that they know that they have a passion or that they have a particular thing that they are going to move forward in. And they're always constantly thinking, well, how is it going to make me money? And that's sort of the opposite of what you want to do. You want to go into something, say, how much passion and how much drive can I have for this particular thing? And I know it will make me money eventually because it is the passion that I have been drawn to, and it is what the universe is guiding me towards. Now, it's not to say that you can't take practical steps in terms of what you're currently doing for a job to make sure that you are supported during this time, but also don't worry about the money coming in through the new project because it will eventually happen.
Okay.
And that's the really beautiful part about it, is that, especially from a manifestation standpoint, when you know that money is coming through whatever means it's going to come and you have zero worry about it, it just comes. It just flows.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that to be true. So, okay.
They're showing me the throat chakra, and that is a past life that we need to look at. And they're saying that this also does have something to do with the frustration and the anger that you have been experiencing. Like, a lot of it has to do with the outside people's energy, like, and how you're absorbing that. But a little bit has to do with something that you've experienced in this previous lifetime that we're going to look at. So let's take a look.
Okay.
The first thing I'm hearing is you're crazy and you have no idea what you're talking about. This is something that you are saying to somebody else. It's like you're at some sort of like a town hall where you have a lot of people coming together from the place that you lived. And you're the one speaking right now. And you're saying that the people, the mayor of the town, the people in charge are very misguided. They don't understand anything about what is going on with the individual people. And you're trying to speak out to this. Oh, okay. This is really funny because it does have to do with farming.
Oh.
What the mayor wanted to do, the mayor of this town, what he wanted to do was he wanted for all the farmers to basically pool together the money they made from all of their crops, and it would all go into one big like bucket, if you will. And then he would evenly distribute the money to all of the farmers based on the amount that was made through all of the farmers. And while that sounds like a nice idea, and basically the way that the mayor had stated it was because there were some times when some farmers would have bad crops, or they wouldn't bring in anything, or the soil was bad that year, or there wasn't enough seed or something to that effect, that would just make it more fair across the board. If somebody's having a problem, that everybody just pitches in and then it just gets distributed evenly. You're speaking out and saying that that's crazy because if a farmer is raising, let's say, livestock, and then another farmer is growing corn, and another farmer is growing soybeans, and then another farmer is growing sugar, like, the costs of those things are all vastly, vastly different. So the amount of money you have to put into the crops, the amount of money that you have to put into the livestock and feeding the animals.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of money you have to put in each one of these things is vastly different. So it's like you can't just pool together all the money and then give everything evenly across the board, because the expenses that one farmer has to put in is way different than the expenses that another farmer has to put in.
Right.
You're beside yourself. You're like, I cannot believe that you're going to do this to us. And you were one of the farmers. So what's interesting is that you were bad mouthing this potential proposal. And granted, at this time, it hadn't even been approved yet, but you were going around the town just, talking about this proposal and how bad it was. But you also didn't know or understand how much money other farmers put into their farms. For example, like there were a couple of different farms that you knew nothing about. Like you didn't know how much went into what they had to do. For example, I'm seeing a plow and I'm seeing like a couple of bulls and like some other livestock. And so it's like, yeah, even though they may not be raising livestock, they still have to have livestock in order to plow the fields and help with everything. So it's like there are other expenses that you specifically are not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were speaking from the place of where you were, which is I'm spending a whole lot of money on what I do. And for all that money to be taken away from me and be given to other people, I don't want to do that. And so you didn't realize how much of a sacrifice other people would be making as well, how much upfront cost it is for some of these other people. There were so many factors involved that it's like, it's one thing to fight for something that you believe in, but it's another to fight for something without knowing all the facts.
Yeah.
And that's part of what was happening here. It's like you were speaking for everyone when technically you should have just been speaking for yourself, because not everybody is going to be where you are. So there's a little bit of this anger about injustice that's coming from this previous life. What's interesting is that they did not pass the bill or the law or whatever it was. They didn't pass it the way that they originally had intended because there was so much opposition to it. And one of the farmers fell on really hard times. And this was one of your friends. And funny enough, you actually went and gave this friend like a lot of money to help him. So it's funny because you ended up giving the money anyway. Because it was on your terms, you were fine with it. It's like there seems to be something tied around like decisions being removed from your power.
Mm.
And the injustice of that and wanting the ability to make your own decisions. Okay. Is there anything else we need to see in this lifetime for that? No. Okay. All right. So can I ask, do you have any correlations that you can think of in your life where you're feeling anger because of your decisions being taken away from you, or that you feel like there is injustice happening?
Yeah, I definitely, the injustice anger really resonates with me, like it has my whole life, and maybe more so in spurts, But yeah, definitely the injustice anger. And I felt recently like I have just like a thing with the man holding me down, not into that. Like, it makes me want to buck everything. And then not having the ability to make my own decisions when I want to make it definitely resonates.
So that can really feed into what is going on collectively right now as well, especially in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of duality surrounding that. So it's like this is something that you had already had within you, like this anger surrounding injustice, this anger surrounding having your choices being taken away from you. And then now we have a growing collective energy of anger regarding freedom, rights, all of these things, right? So it's like the combination of all of these energies in addition to what you already had in your field, that is what is contributing to a lot of the sort of feeling of anger that's been sort of bubbling up over the last few months, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else that we need to do to clear her throat chakra? No. Okay. Okay, so what can we help her do to move through any of this anger, remove the anger, use it in a constructive way, express it? What can she do? She doesn't need to do anything specifically, but it can be addressed on a case-by-case basis. So in the case where you were with your friend in the car, that is something that you can address after the fact. So you had a reaction to something that happened. After the fact, you can sit down and identify, is this energy mine? Is this energy something that I wish to express? Or is this energy about something completely different that has nothing to do with my friend? And if that is the case, you need to go within, you need to do some journaling or some meditation to figure out what it is that you truly need to express and to whom. Because oftentimes what we do is we express our anger or we express our frustration and we take it out on somebody who doesn't even know what you're talking about, because that's not who you are angry at, or that's not the frustration or anger that you're having. It all has a tendency to be a little bit misdirected in that way. So pay attention to where this anger is coming from, why it's there, what it's showing you, what is it trying to tell you.
Okay.
Can you identify that anger, and can you connect with that anger right now?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
So I'm going to ask you to imagine that anger as a ball of energy in front of you. And I would like you to have a little conversation with that ball of anger. And the first question I want you to ask it is, I want you to ask it what it is there to show you.
The first thing that comes up is clarity, being clear about what it is, where it's from. Is this need expressing? Is this the right person or the right place? It needs clarity. And it feels like it is part of passion and like a zest for me, but it gets like misaligned. It's doing harm, I'm seeing where harm is being created instead of healing, like in the roots of it.
So where does it want to be directed or utilized?
And points of connection, maybe like they're in that other life. It doesn't feel good to be punished, or it doesn't feel good. Sometimes other people don't make us feel good or whatever, but it has a place. And the anger itself can't be as important as we are to each other in the collective, or we being a family, or like it can't be more important than that.
Yeah.
Because it's so fleeting and so dangerous.
So how can you make it so it's not more important than your connections?
To the clarity, like where is this coming from, and going back to, I don't know, the shared goal, or if there's a problem to be solved or addressed, that, what power we have. It's the powerlessness, right? That makes you feel like you don't have any power. And if you're falling into a trap of just being angry and not using that for positive good or change, then it just perpetuates anger.
Yeah.
And confusion and mistrust and distancing, I guess.
And so it goes back to your life purpose, which is anchoring that connection and that love first.
Right.
And that's how the anger can be fleeting. Because if the anger is not the root of the connection, then it has no choice but to leave. So I want you to ask that anger that you have as the ball of energy in front of you, what it needs right now from you to leave your energy field.
I feel like, I don't know if I can articulate this well, but like a holding space for it, like an urge for a chocolate cake or something. Like it could just let it pass. It's not going to take over me unless I let it. Putting it first puts others second.
Yeah. So one of the tools that you can use to at least acknowledge it and hold space for it is to write it down. So whatever anger you're having, to write it all down on a piece of paper and then to burn it afterwards.
Okay.
Or destroy it in some way. Sometimes you could rip it up, sometimes you can burn it, whatever you want to do, but it's like to be able to get that anger out in some way.
Okay.
And acknowledging the anger. So having a little conversation with it, saying, what do you need right now? What is it that you are feeling at this moment? And what are you trying to show me? And you might be surprised that some of the anger might be something that feels older for you. It might feel like something from childhood. It could feel like something from maybe your early teen years or something like that. So pay attention to how old or new the anger feels.
Okay.
Pay attention to how much of it is yours. So we did ask that question earlier. So sometimes you can just ask a percentage too. So ask the fear right now. What percentage of that fear is yours right now?
I'm seeing like 80% of it's mine.
Okay, perfect. So there's no judgment in that. It's just about getting the information. So you can allow that 80% that is yours to take responsibility for that and know that you need to work through that. So, however you work through that, however you hold space for that anger. Let's say you're feeling angry and you're supposed to go out with a friend and you decide to still go, and you know that you're just going to be in a crappy mood the whole day. Maybe instead of going out with that friend, maybe you say, you know what, let's take a rain check. I think I just need to stay in and work through some things on my own, right? That's something that you can do in order to mitigate sort of taking it out on other people, maybe being in a situation that maybe is not the best for you, to be able to take the time and say, okay, anger, today is your day. You needed a day, so today is your day. What do you need, right? It's like looking at your anger almost like a friend that is trying to get your attention.
Okay.
So does that feel like something that you can do?
Yes, actually, it does.
Beautiful. Okay, so do you have any questions about that? Because I wanted to be able to get to your father before we close out.
No, I feel good about that.
All right, great. What is your father's name? He is silly. He's trying to make you laugh. He's trying to bring like joy and laughter to your life. He feels like it wasn't something that he was really able to bring to you on a regular basis. What I'm seeing him do is like, it's almost like he's doing some sort of like physical comedy, like the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
He wants you to know that you don't have to take life so seriously all the time. And he wished that he was able to have taught you that when you were younger. And that's part of what he's trying to show you now in spirit. How does his energy show up for you when it does?
Well, sometimes it's like that, like on like the story I was telling you earlier, where he kind of made a face at me and we broke out in laughter after like an argument or something had ensued between him and my mom. But also, like, I think of him, for instance, he was a football coach and a teacher, and so he had summers off. And we spent a lot of our summers together. Me helping him in the yard, and he was like a DIYer before it was cool. So we worked on projects together, and he taught me how to use tools and problem solve things. And anyway, I feel him around me a lot when I'm in those spaces. When I'm in my garden, like it came to me a couple of years ago, like, oh, he was about the same age at this one particular time, and he was excelling in his career, and was just connected to maybe the way he would kind of like create plays or have ideas while he was working in the yard, almost like you do when you're in the shower and you have the great idea, like run over there and get,
Yeah.
I just kind of felt that energy, and him saying like, this is good. Stop beating yourself up about coming out and playing in the yard or picking weeds or whatever. Again, with the message of you're taking life too seriously.
Yeah.
Because I did feel like as a kid, I was kind of a fixer or my mom's protector a little bit. And it was probably in my I've been married for 20 years, almost 20 years, but when we were first married and had so much conflict around us, I kind of had moments of like, oh, like my mom wasn't always right. And I'm not always, like she's not always, I don't always need to stand up for her. It's not, almost like, do you know what you're arguing for? Goes back to that. Are you really informed here? And I spent a lot of time mad at him when, again, it could have been joyous or not really mad at him, but us in division for sure. And when he passed, it was like I could see his soul. I could feel it without any worldly constraints, without any pride and any of those flaws or whatever. And so it's been an intense and wonderful relationship, like kind of like what I wish we would have had in real life, but I don't know that I would change anything just because it's all so valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that he's saying that this is the validation you needed to know that everything you're getting is correct. Even though he's showing up for you, not in the way that he necessarily showed up when he was alive. He's showing up for you in a way that he wishes he did when he was alive. So now in spirit, he's able to do that. He's able to have a much different perspective on how he is showing up for you, and he wants to be able to be that for you now.
Yeah, I really feel that. Okay.
And so he's also saying that if there is a particular way you need him to show up for you, to tell him, to let him know, hey, like, I would love for you to show up for me in this way. I would love your help in this particular thing or in this situation. Because you can ask him for help and he can help you.
Okay.
I'm just hearing trust. Do you have any signs that he gives you when he's around?
No, nothing clear and consistent.
Okay. Do you need the signs, or are you pretty clear when he's around?
I would love a sign, not every time, but I guess it's part of this validation. You just gave me a lot of validation, and then I would like more of a sign just to latch on to the moment differently when it hits, I don't want to miss it. So,
What is something that reminds you of your father? Is there a symbol or a sign or something that reminds you of him?
what comes to mind is like saws right now.
Okay.
Like a chop saw or, a circular saw or something, handiwork kind of stuff.
Okay. So then if you can ask him to give you signs of a saw, like a circular saw or some sort of tool in that way,
Okay.
that will give you the indication that he is around and that he wants to speak, then you can go into a meditation and connect with him. Ask him to do it in a very specific way so you're not going to miss it. So it's very clear. Okay.
Okay.
If the saw symbolism isn't working, or if it doesn't work, or if you're confused about it, you can always change it to something else. All you have to do is you have to just talk to him and say, hey, Dad, can you give me a sign of this when you're around and when you want to talk?
Okay. I think the other maybe part that I would ask him right now is like, it's about my mom. Like, how can I support her? How can I don't know, just help her live like to her fullest? She's not gonna be here forever. And I just kind of feel like I screwed up with her a lot. And like, I don't want her to be lonely. And I also feel like she's lonely, but I don't want to be responsible for her loneliness.
Yeah.
Because, she moved to be closer to me, but she doesn't have a lot of friends in the area. And I'm hyper aware of that.
So just like you connected your parents in that previous lifetime, you can try to connect her to the love that she has inside, to whatever that might be. She has a lot of sadness right now. Like, her energy is very droopy. It's very like sad energy. And maybe the one way you can support her is helping her find that joy within her again. The things that she loves, the things that she can be joyful about. Because the problem is that what makes us happy and what brings us joy as we get older changes. And so the things that we used to love, the things that used to bring us joy may not bring us joy anymore, but then we may not spend time trying to search out those things that will bring us joy. So maybe just asking her questions, just saying, hey, Mom, what would you love to do today? What would be like a really beautiful thing that would bring you joy today? And just see what she says. Asking the right questions. And if she's not receptive to it, that's fine. There's nothing you can do about that. But at the very least, being able to hold the space for her and asking her those questions will be helpful for her. Okay?
Okay.
Beautiful. All right. So we are going to close the Akashic Records. Thank you so much to Akula, my Akashic Guide. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Xenophon for allowing us access to the records and showing us what we needed to see today. The records are closed. The records are closed. The records are closed. Thank you. Okay. How do you feel?
I have like 5 pages of notes and I feel weepy but good. I feel good. Like a lot of this will seep in, needs some seeping in time.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of times it does take a lot of integration time. Also, the healing of it takes quantum time. So basically it's happening now. It happened before the session. It's happening after the session. If you do find yourself being more weepy in the next couple of days than usual, that's obviously very, very common to happen after these sessions.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much, Annette.
You're so welcome, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
I have so much gratitude to Erin for allowing me to record her session for the podcast. Let's talk about anger. One of the things that Erin talked about in the session was the triggering feeling she had when she was in the car with her friend and her friend's spouse. And that feeling of wanting to jump on the bandwagon to criticize her friend's driving. And I think we've all been there before. At some point in our life, we have been there. It is that almost that bullying energy where if somebody is doing something or saying something or criticizing, that you jump on board and say, yeah, that's it. And it's something that I have experienced in my youth and in my adult life, where I have been almost influenced by the energy of others. Let me give you a couple of examples, and maybe you can relate to this in your own life. It's no secret that I have been struggling energetically to live in Paris. The energy in the city is pretty chaotic. And when I find myself in that space, I can deal with my emotions. I can manage them, I can express them. And it's not all the time that I'm feeling this way. There are times when I feel joyful here. There are times when I feel connected to the people that I love here. But I do have one friend who, for whatever reason, and I couldn't figure out for a long time, whenever I was in her presence, I would complain 10 times more than I would with anyone else. And I could not quite figure out why. And this was going on for quite some time. So every time we'd get together, I would have no intention on complaining about living here in Paris. And all of a sudden, I would find myself just railing into all of the things that I didn't like about being here. Now, keep in mind, one of the things that my friend and I really bonded on when we first became friends was the fact that we were living in Paris and that we both loved it. And now she still loves it and I do not. So at first I thought it was something where I was trying to convince her that this place sucks, which is silly and untrue. But there was a part of me that felt like that's what I was trying to do. And then I started trying to investigate that emotion and that feeling when I was around her. And I realized that part of it had to do with the fact that she was invalidating my feelings about living here by simply being who she is, by saying that she loves it here and everything that she loves about it. And for me, I'm like, I can't possibly believe that you love all of these things about this city. And it created this anger in me where I couldn't understand where she was coming from, and I felt invalidated in my feelings. Then there was a third aspect to this, where her energy in general is in a heightened state of criticism as well as negativity. Now, towards different things than my negativity that I was having at that time. But I also realized that it was her energy, her negative energy that she has, was actually amplifying my dislike of this city or my complaining about the city. And so I was able to finally come to the resolution of what this anger was, where it was coming from, and why I was complaining so much to this friend when I wasn't complaining this much to anybody else. This is how you work through these emotions. Now, keep in mind, at this very moment, I haven't spoken to this friend about this situation. Now, keep in mind, I record these podcasts very well in advance. So by the time you're listening to this, it has probably been a couple of months. And by then, I will have spoken to my friend about this situation. So now that I know where all of these feelings are coming from, I can actually go to her and say to her, look, I feel like I've been really negative and really complainy about Paris whenever I'm around you. And I feel like it's really amplified when I'm around you. And these are the reasons why. And tell her what I'm feeling and how I've been exploring the aspects of why I'm feeling the way that I am. So instead of taking the anger out on her, blaming her, or being angry at her for something in particular, I am now able to have a very hopefully productive conversation with her. And I know this friend very well, so I know that she is going to be receptive to this. And I know she's going to be able to offer her own input and that sort of thing. And there will be a time where we will probably agree on something. There will be a time when we will disagree on things, and that is okay. But it is about being able to get to the bottom of where your anger is coming from. I'm going to give you another example, and this is more of a classic anger example. I am not somebody who yells, and I never have been, because growing up, my mom used to yell a lot. And so I kind of got allergic to yelling or getting angry. And so a lot of times I would stuff my anger because I didn't know how to express it. I was never really taught how to express my anger, nor did I really know where anger came from. And now I know that anger comes from hurt. It comes from other emotions that are sort of less severe, and then it gets built upon. So if you are feeling invalidated, that invalidation grows and grows and grows until you get angry. If you're a people pleaser and you're continuing to do things for people over and over again and you're not able to receive, or they're not giving back, that feeling of abandonment, that feeling of not being seen or not being valued, those are those initial emotions. And then as the situation continues, those emotions then eventually turn in to anger. I have not come across a situation where anger is literally the first emotion. There are usually way more emotions that come before anger that are sort of the precursor that can actually let you know how you're feeling before you even get to that anger point. Now, of course, there can also be things that trigger anger in a split second. Chances are it is based on the fact that that particular emotion was triggered within you from the past, maybe something from childhood, maybe something from an ex-marriage or something like that. Like something just triggers you into anger because of a particular situation. But it can almost always be traced back to something. So in this particular situation, I was working on an event and it was the end of the event. Keep in mind, there was lots of drinking at this event, and there always was. But this particular time, nobody was around. I was the only person doing cleanup at this moment. And I saw one of the people that I was working with just having a conversation with somebody else. And I lost it. I completely lost it. I walked over to that person. I started screaming at the top of my lungs to come and help me. And that was a result of months and months and months of me basically people pleasing, picking up the slack, doing all the jobs that I felt like I had to do because people were not getting them done in a timely manner. At the end of the event, this was the last straw. And this one person was just being social and not even caring. Now, keep in mind that this person was also inebriated. I believe I was too at the time. So that can also play a really big factor in it. Had I not been drinking, I may not have exploded in that way. I may not have expressed my anger in that way, but I did. Now, I have often thought about that moment just because it was so uncharacteristic of me. That is not something that I would typically do. Now, it's not to say that I haven't been angry in my life, because actually, you can ask my sister. She used to think when I was in my 20s, I was a pretty angry person. But she was pretty much the only person that would see that because I would hide it pretty well. And that anger was because of loneliness. That anger was because I really desired to have a romantic connection with somebody who really cherished me, who I could cherish, who I could be in a beautiful connection with, and I still was not finding that person. I was really angry at a lot of other things as well, but mostly it was just loneliness and hurt. Those things build up over time, and sometimes you can have that underlying anger because of something that is maybe unfulfilled. When I think about that moment when I was literally yelling at this person, I'm not proud of the behavior that I exhibited, but I am grateful for what it showed me. It showed me that I needed to take a step back, that I needed to allow people to just do what they're going to do. And if things don't get done, they don't get done. I don't have to be the one to always fill in that space. I also learned that holding in my anger, holding in my frustration is not a good thing. It creates discord within my energy field. What that taught me was to express that emotion before it comes to anger. So if I would have told this person early on that I was really noticing that he wasn't doing the job that he said he was going to do, and that I ended up having to pick up the slack in certain areas, then maybe we could have come to some sort of agreement or realization prior to this moment. Now, it is worth mentioning that there was also the aspect of jealousy that was infused in that anger. And the reason why there was jealousy there was because this was my twin flame. And so the person he was talking to was some random girl. And so immediately the jealousy and insecurity reared up in me. And not only was it the jealousy and the insecurity, but the anger, the frustration, the fact that he wasn't showing up, the fact that he wasn't helping. And I had tunnel vision. And that was it. And that's all it took. These are the situations that we learn from. These are the situations that are really important turning points for us and our lives, because that type of anger can create problems within our body, health problems, all kinds of things. It can shut our heart off. It can fester for years and decades and keep us stuck in a particular place. Thankfully, the next morning, I was able to speak to him and have a rational conversation about what had happened. And ultimately, it ended up being that he didn't remember that portion of the evening. There were some other portions of the evening that happened after that were not great either, that he also did not remember. So I was able to express to him what happened and why, and we were able to have a conversation about it. I don't think I was ever able to express to him why I was angry and what happened at that time, because back then I didn't have the same skills that I have now. I didn't have the same tools that I have now. I didn't have the same self-awareness. And so back then I was not able to maybe articulate exactly what was going on. What I would like to point out in this entire story is the layered nuance of why anger comes in. The influence of outside sources, the past relationships. It could even be past relationships that have nothing to do with the person you're angry with. It could have to do with your own insecurities and jealousies, like I was experiencing that evening. My own feelings of needing to people please or needing to get things done because it was my perception that people were not doing things in a timely manner. So many of these feelings of anger can be avoided if you are able to catch those other emotions that are happening prior to the anger happening. Sometimes anger is necessary. If somebody is crossing a boundary and continues to cross a boundary, then anger is valid. Quite frankly, I think I was actually crossing some boundaries with my twin flame at that event. And so had he been angry, it would have been warranted because I did cross some boundaries. Now, unfortunately, with our relationship in the past, we didn't have a lot of boundaries with each other. He didn't set a lot of boundaries with me. I didn't set a lot of boundaries with him. And so there was a lot of nebulous space between us, which made things very confusing and quite difficult a lot of the time. So had he been in his divine masculine self, he would have been able to be in a space of asking me, why are you so angry? What is going on? And being able to investigate the reason for the outburst. Instead, what actually happened was he did stop talking to the person, came over and helped me, but did so in a way that was very clear in my memory, almost in his own wounding. It's almost as if that is something that has been happening to him over the course of this lifetime for him, maybe from his parents or girlfriend or something else like that, where he's used to being reprimanded or yelled at. And so his instant response is to just do the thing to make the person stop yelling. And I recognized that too when I was in that situation. I want you to observe in this story all of the places in which maybe you have recognized these types of emotions, these types of behaviors. And it may not even be with a significant other or a twin flame. It can be with literally anyone. It can be with a parent or a sister or a brother, a friend. Where have you been holding back? Where have you not been communicating? Where have you not been telling the person how you feel? And I'm not talking about emotional vomiting all over somebody, which is something I definitely did in that time as well. I'm talking about identifying what you're feeling and why, being able to release that emotion on your own time, and then come to the person with a heart-led, heartfelt conversation about what is going on. Because that's the other aspect of this. Just because you're angry doesn't mean that you are meant to take that anger out on the person that you are angry at. I want you to listen to that again if you need to. Just because you are angry at somebody does not mean that you need to release and take out your anger on that person. Even if they are the ones that made you mad, that's totally fine. But you need to go back into your heart space, your meditation. You need to release that anger in any way that you can. Punch a pillow, scream, dance around your house and punch the air if you need to. Write it down. As I mentioned in the session, write it down, rip it up, burn it, do whatever you need to do. Get that anger out before you start communicating. Now, does that mean that you're not going to have some anger that comes out during the communication? No, we're not perfect human beings. Of course, there's going to be an element of maybe frustration or annoyance or even anger in a conversation. And sometimes that tells you where your boundaries are being pushed. My point is that if you want to start a conversation with somebody about something that you're angry about, then the most productive way to do that is to go within and identify where the anger is coming from and decide the points that are actually relevant to that person. So in the example of this story with my twin flame, if I went back and meditated on what it was that I was angry about, I would technically take the jealousy bit out of it. I would take the frustration out of it and the feelings of abandonment because we were not a couple. He had a girlfriend, and that is not his problem if I was jealous. That's my problem. That's not his. The aspect that I was angry with him about, which was not coming to help me, I had not communicated that to him already, saying that I needed his help. So had I gone into my heart space, into my intuition, that conversation would have gone as such. I would have walked over to him. I would have said, hey, nobody else is around. I'm the only one cleaning up. Would you mind coming with me and helping me? That's how that conversation should have gone. And then any other feelings of irritation because he's not showing up, whatever it was throughout the course of the previous days or weeks or months, that had to be another conversation at another time. So you can see how I'm breaking this down. And this is how it should always go, because you cannot get angry at somebody for something that has nothing to do with them. If you are taking your anger out on somebody and only 50% of it is them, you're basically wasting your energy and you're creating toxic energy between you and that person and damaging the relationship. The last piece that I want to talk about is taking a break in the form of meditation. And this goes hand in hand with what we're talking about with processing emotions. Sometimes taking a break, like she was talking about how her father used to take a break and go garden, that is a meditative practice. Even just today, I was taking a break after doing some editing and I was playing a game on my phone. And as I was playing the game on my phone, I was getting into a meditative state of identifying the things that I wanted to talk about today. And taking a break from the busyness of your life, from the hustle and bustle, from all the things that you have to do is paramount for doing this type of work. Because you need to separate yourself from other people's energies. You need to separate yourself from collective energy. And you need to be able to go within to identify what it is you are truly feeling. So never feel guilty for taking a break. In fact, do it more than you do now. I can guarantee you that many of you are not doing the disconnect or taking a break as often as you need to. So make sure that you are paying attention to how you feel inside. And if you don't know, ask your body, ask your energy field, talk to your body, talk to your higher self, ask what you need to know about how you're feeling and why. And I guarantee you, you will get the answers. It may take a little time, but you will get the answers. This is part of the reason why I also have changed my viewpoint on conversations within relationships. I used to be the person where I would say, we have to talk about this now. We have to talk about this now. And now I am completely the opposite. I don't think that we need to rush talking about things. I think, in fact, we need to take the time to really identify what is going on within and then set a time to talk about it later. So if you're one of those people that feels that there's an urgency to talk about things when things are going wrong, just know and understand that you need time to process your feelings too. And that's not going to happen in 3 seconds before you have a conversation. So it's much more healthy to take a step back, contemplate, meditate, do your exploration of your emotions, and then come together for hopefully a much better result. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I look forward to connecting with you again next week.
If you're enjoying this podcast, it would be really amazing if you could like, share, and subscribe. Wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple or Spotify, feel free to give it a review if you feel called. If you are following me on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you are notified for every single new episode of the Akashic Recordings. If you feel called to book a session with me, you can always reach me at infinitesoullove.com, and you can book directly on my website. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I can't wait to connect with you next week.